Democrats say older, low-income Americans will hate it more than anyone. Some of them could see their Obamacare tax credits cut in half under this plan, even as some of the wealthiest Americans, Elaine, would enjoy a series of tax cuts.
Well, Nancy, there really was a full court press going on from the president on down, trying to convince conservatives to get on board. How well do you think it's worked?
I have to say, Elaine, it did have something of an impact today. We saw a noted shift in tone as the day went on. A lot of conservatives who held a press conference in the afternoon seemed gratified by the fact that Republican leaders, the vice president, were all willing to listen to their concerns and were suggesting that they were open to negotiation. You even had the Secretary of Health and Human Services at the White House saying that the bill is a work in progress. Vice President Pence said, we're open to tweaking it. And so they feel that their concerns are being heard, and they feel that they can have an impact on this legislation, moving it to the right. And so that's the big question. How many of them will be satisfied just by shifting this bill closer to their direction? And how many of them are simply going to say, no, I can't stomach the idea of these refundable tax credits, and I just can never support this bill?
Well, Nancy, what are the votes looking like right now? I mean, can this Obamacare replacement bill make it through Congress without the full support of a unified Republican Congress?
You need a near unified Republican Congress. You can only afford to lose about 24 Republicans in the House. And just to give you some perspective, there are about 40 Republicans in the House who consider themselves part of this Freedom Caucus, the most conservative members, many of whom ran on a platform basically of coming to Washington and outright repealing Obamacare. It is their number one issue. And so they're frustrated beyond what they see in the plan by the fact that Congress isn't going ahead and just repealing Obamacare first, ripping it out by the roots before Republicans figure out a replacement. That's the series of events that they would like to see. In the Senate, there's an even smaller margin for error, Elaine. They can only afford to lose 2 Republicans before the bill goes down because, as you can imagine, they can't count on any Democratic support.
Well, what did you make, Nancy, of Senator Chris Murphy referring to this as Trump care while the White House was reluctant to go along with that?
I think Democrats are going to do their best to hang this bill around the president, particularly if polls going forward show that the plan is unpopular, particularly if Republicans get into a situation where they cannot come up with a plan that satisfies everyone in their conference, both those on the far right and those who are more moderate. Democrats are still holding out hope, frankly, Elaine, that conservatives are going to do their work for them and that they don't really need to go out there and attack this bill mercilessly because at the end of the day, the far right flank of the Republican Party, as it has so many times in the past, might balk and simply say we're not going to go along with this. That's what Democrats are hoping for, but the stakes are incredibly high. And we do have one new variable here, Elaine, that we haven't had in the past, which is that you now have a Republican president putting pressure on these conservative members of Congress. That makes a big difference.
Yeah, really interesting dynamics there. Nancy Cortez on Capitol Hill for us. Nancy, thank you.
You're welcome.